Hello and welcome to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, tgstore.co.uk.
The home of Gore bike wear, Gore running wear and Aquasphere wetsuits. You can get 10% off with the code OxygenAddict10 and you can win a Gore bike or a Gore run jacket at tgstore.co.uk/OxygenAddict.
We're also brought to you by PrecisionHydration.com.
Leaders in triathlete sweat testing and hydration with multi-strength electrolytes that match how you sweat. You can get 15% off with the code OxygenAddict15.
And we also have a new sponsor on board, wearetribe.co.
Natural sports nutrition delivered direct to you. You can get a free trial pack of 6 yummy energy bars, trail mix, recovery bars and shakes for just £1 by using the code.
No, say that again. 6 for £1.
6. You can get a free trial pack of 6 things, whether that be energy bars, trail mix, recovery bars, shakes, for £1 by using the code OxygenAddict.
That right there, Helen, is what we call a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer.
Get on it, people. Get over to wearetribe.co, enter the code OxygenAddict and get, it's usually £9, I think, isn't it, that trial pack? And, man, we'll talk about it later, but yeah, get on that and get yourself some delicious freebies from Tribe. And hello to Helen Murray.
Hello to Rob Wilby. How are you?
I am back, baby. I am back from the dead.
What happened?
I have not been a well boy.
Oh, no.
I think it's the first time I've been sick since I was sick in the run-up to when I did London Marathon in 2009 with a proper chest infection, and had a proper chest infection where it was, feverish dreams, massive high temperatures, just feeling terrible all the time. It wiped me out for about a full week, pretty much, I reckon. It was just, it was horrible.
Oh.
And I had no you to talk to. I think it's because we didn't do the show. I think I was missing you. I think my soul left my body and was sitting by the front door like a little puppy dog going, "Where's Helen?" And I haven't talked to her. Don't let her do any specials again, Rob. We miss talking to her.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Well, you're back. I'm back. We're back. This is the Oxygen Addict Triathlon Podcast.
I've got to say, top work on your pregnancy special Swim Bike Mum last week. If anyone didn't catch that, get back and listen to it. You're quite the diva with the editing and the music and stuff, aren't you? Left to your own devices. I'm very impressed, mate.
Oh yeah, but then you put the traditional cup of Try at the front of it and just completely crashed the jingle. I was like,
people are not going to know what's going on.
It's not mixed very well. God, Rob.
I tried the best. You got to remember, I had a temperature of about 107 degrees at the time. It was all I could do to work out which of the 3 computers I was staring at. It's like that scene in Rocky. Press the keys and the one in the middle. Just use the one in the middle. I could have published anything. I could have published Ed Sheeran's latest album, the state I was in last week.
Well, thankfully I'd done most of it, so there wasn't too much that you could do to.
There wasn't too much I could mess up. No, but I just thought people are not going to know it's us without our notorious jingly jangly music. I
know, but no, I enjoyed doing it, and I think people
loads of positive feedback.
A lot of people seem to appreciate it and learn something from it, whether it's relevant to them or not. I think there was something in there that might have made you go, oh wow, I didn't know that. And actually the interview alone with Helen Jenkins or Matt Bottrell or Kate Allen, they were all, you could take something from all of that. And with Kate Allen,
definitely.
My God, how fast is she on a bike?
Yes, isn't she just? Even if you take out of the equation the whole mum part, she's fast on the bike.
Yeah.
And then you think and just where does she get the time to do it? I've got such respect for her, man. It's incredible.
So there you go. Yeah, so no, brilliant. Go check it out if you haven't listened to it. Maybe if you were busy over Easter or something. It was Swim Bike Mum, and loads of good interviewees included in it. So yeah, we had fun. And Esme Taylor from the English Institute of Sport, she was brilliant because she just explained everything so simply. I thought she was great too.
Yeah, so we'll have her back for sure.
Yep.
Keep her number on the Rolodex, Helen.
I've got it, don't worry.
All right, let's leap into this week's show then. We'll kick it off with the results, sponsored by tgstore.co.uk. And we've been looking at their latest stuff, haven't we, Hells? Their spring and summer 2017 range is now out. We do like a bit of new stuff, don't we?
Oh, everyone loves a bit of new kit, don't they? And they have...
What do you fancy? What's your favourite on there?
So they've got some really nice, just like really nice spring colour tops. I'm looking at the women's section clearly, and I really like their...
Funny that.
Yeah, I know. You know, like a little wind stopper gilet thing?
Yeah, I've been looking at those too.
They are really, really useful. So yeah, I would...
dogs, aren't they?
They're awesome. And then just some really nice, like at the moment I'm not quite in that phase whereby I'm completely bare arms on the bike because this morning the gritters were out when I was driving to work.
Yeah.
But when that time does come, they've got some really nice cycling tops.
This time of year it is, isn't it? Like hypothermia on the way to work, hyponatremia on the way home from work. It's insane.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, loads of nice stuff. And Rob, they've even got like a nice sort of, the kind of jacket which is great for spring a bit, one which would probably keep you toasty warm. Yeah, one of those power thermo lady jackets. Awesome.
I'm a big fan right now of, they've got the Element Mountain jersey for cycling, and they've got these really funky graphics on them. They look like something out of like fractal spaceships or something going across them. I really like them. It's really appealing to me. Never realised I was a man for fractals and spaceships on my cycling kit before, but yeah,
but
really
hey, we can all branch out. I tell you one thing I do love about it though, Rob, is that they're not the cheapest bits of clothing, but the quality's right there, and the best thing is the guarantee with TG Store.
Right, so the guarantee, I think, is the ultimate thing, the reason to buy it from this place, isn't it? Because what they've told us, if you buy from tgstore.co.uk, you've got lifetime cover, and that means you get free repairs even if you stack it on your bike and you come off. We couldn't believe this when we were sitting down and having a chat with Andy. If you fall off your bike and you rip your jacket, whether it's a Windstopper one or a Gore-Tex one, they are authorised Gore-Tex repairers, and if they possibly can, they'll repair it for you with the genuine Gore-Tex or Windstopper for free, for life. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, awesome. So check them out, tgstore.co.uk.
Cool stuff. Right, jumping over then. First news, results this week. We had wins for Seb Kienle and Emma Billum at the Cannes International Triathlon.
We did, Rob. And you know what? I was actually really pleased to see that Emma Billum had won this one, because I read her blog after Ironman New Zealand, and she just seemed quite sort of downbeat and almost like something's not clicking. And so I'm really happy for her to actually take that win. So she won in 4:31 ahead of Charlotte Morel of France, and then another French athlete, Johanna Domas. And then Michelle Vesterby was fourth, with Tina Holst of Denmark in fifth.
Yeah, that's a significant margin she's put into those, isn't it? So 7 minutes to second place. That's an astounding win. Seb Kienle looks like he took it to everybody on the bike, as we all expected he would do, with a 3:53 overall. I mean, people often say, don't they, that guys like him who ride well on flat courses are not suited to the challenging technical climbing, but he's definitely shown people a thing or two about his climbing and descending and technical handling on a bike there, with putting in so much time into everybody. Really impressive win for him to start the season off. So he takes it out in 3:53 from Leo Berger of France in 3:59 and Etienne Demunch in 4 hours and 42 seconds, with Andreas Rehler making an appearance down in fifth place as well in 4:02. Good to see him racing again. I hope he's over his injury problems.
One has to hope so, Rob.
Yeah, he's had a rough time of it, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Over in Melbourne, we had the Challenge Melbourne half distance race. Now, Rob, this one, did you see the weather?
Didn't look particularly, I was going to say particularly Australian, but clearly it is Australian weather. But yeah, I know what you mean. It was a little bit challenging by the looks of things, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I think like the night before it was all fine. It was sort of serene, and perhaps even like the morning of the race, I think it was still pretty calm. And then the storm hit, and the race had to be put back by 10-15 minutes to let this storm pass. And then just there's like clouds all over the photos of it and stuff, so it didn't look particularly favourable racing conditions. But Sam Appleton took it out for the men in 3:44 ahead of Dan Wilson and Tim Reed, 70.3 world champion. And then in the women's race, it was a comfortable win for Annabelle Luxford in 4:09. Laura Siddall raced last minute. I think she decided on the Thursday, flew over, like total last minute decision, and picked up a handy second there in 4:16. And then Zoe Adams of Australia was third in 4:39. Yeah, it was interesting actually, Rob.
What a result for her there because it looks like it was down between her and Annabelle Luxford for the win, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Laura will say that Annabelle was just, she's totally dominates over
ahead,
that distance, and obviously Laura's just got 2 Ironmans in her legs and hasn't been concentrating on that half, has she? So I think Annabelle Luxford obviously had a comfortable win, but yeah, to go over last minute and still be able to pull out second, it's pretty cool.
Do you know, I had a couple of guys from Team Oxygen Addicts racing down there, and one of them posted in our Facebook group. He was like, I was slogging along and having a really hard time, and all of a sudden this woman who was clearly like either leading or something came running up alongside me, started chatting and said, "Are you coached by Rob?" And I found out afterwards it was Laura Siddall, and he was like, I was killing myself trying to go after a PB, and she's like jogging along next to me having a chat as though it's nothing at all going on.
Love it.
Thought that's brilliant. She's a legend.
That's really funny.
Nice work, Sid. We're impressed with that. Keep the boys on the toes. Keep them honest, hey?
Definitely. So then, Rob, there's another big race coming up. There are a couple of races coming up this weekend. We'll do one in news because we've got a few big names who have announced that they'll be racing. But the other one, which we're going to do a little bit of a preview of right now, is Ironman Texas. And Rob, they've changed the course this year a little bit. So that is this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, so Ironman Texas, this ties in neatly. We've got an interview for today's episode with Joe Skipper, who's racing Ironman Texas, and obviously he talks a little bit about his disappointment from, was it South Africa? My mind's going blank. It was South Africa, wasn't it, the other week? And he's backing this up with Texas because he didn't have the race that he wanted down there. But he'll say in the interview that the bike course is now up and down a closed section of motorway. And it just looks, if the conditions are even vaguely all right, we could well see the first sub 4 hour bike split in an Ironman. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what happens down there. Traditionally, it's been disgustingly hot, and I think it's a little bit earlier in the year this year, so maybe the chances are it might not be absolutely horrendous. But again, Joe talks about this, how the last time he raced there, it was just mind-blowingly hot and humid, so he's hoping for a little bit cooler conditions this time.
I did. I saw a couple of people, because when you see people who are training ahead of a race or something, and a couple are saying it is pretty darn hot out there. Will Clark is going to be racing, Rob, as well, and
I didn't know Will was racing. That's cool.
So Will Clark's racing, and he said that. Well, he sort of seems to be hinting at the fact that if he can pull it together, he reckons he might be able to go under 8 hours.
Oh wow, brilliant. Well, he's already done that, hasn't he? He did that in I want to say
Copenhagen.
Denmark.
Correct.
Copenhagen?
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh. I tell you what, we're building up a bank of knowledge between us, aren't we?
It would be great in a pub quiz specialising in
Do they have that? Do they have pub? Maybe they do in Kona. Maybe if you go to the Lava Java Cafe, they have like the equivalent of a pub quiz.
You know what? I really don't think we would be anywhere near the top because there are some people with incredible knowledge.
Helen, show some confidence in our knowledge here.
No.
We will challenge all comers. All it takes, just fly us out to Kona, and we'll take any of your triathlon pub quiz teams on.
I'm not in this. This is Rob Wilby. I would just be embarrassed by people who have amazing knowledge.
When you qualify for Kona and we go out to watch you race, I will organise a pub quiz in that coffee place. It will be the Oxygen Addict sponsored pub quiz, not in a pub quiz.
Right.
There you go. You're not impressed by this idea at
No,
all?
I'm not. No. I'm going to look ahead to Ironman.
You're cold, man. You're cold. You've got this really cold side to you.
No.
You're just like, oh my God, Rob's being an idiot again. Can we move on?
Well, yeah, exactly. But, that's...
Par for the course 3 times a podcast, isn't it, really?
Right, so Will Clark's racing, Joe Skipper's racing, and then Harry Wiltshire is also racing. Yep.
Yeah.
But they're going to be coming up against Matt Hansen, Ronnie Schildknecht, Jordan Rapp, Callum Millward, Andy Starkovich is racing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a whole...
That could be a lightning fast bike pack, couldn't it? If they decide to try and ride together legally and sensibly. Yeah. Obviously, Starkovich won't want to do that because I'm sure he'll be gunning for that first sub 4. He's ridden 4:01, I think, hasn't he? Or 4:02. He's got really close before, either at Texas or Florida.
Yeah, amazing. Yep.
To watch.
Skipper's got that bike record at the moment still. Stands, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, Rob, in the women's race, Jocelyn McCauley, who won Ironman New Zealand, is there. Melinda Elmore's going to be racing. We had her on the show, didn't we? Lauren Brandon's on that start list. Darby Roberts, who won Ironman Wales. We spoke to her. Alicia Kay. And then Caroline Livesey is on that start list too. And I know she's out there because she's been training out there. And Francesca Sanjana as well of Great Britain is also on that start list.
Good stuff. It's going to be a good race. And it's always a massive one as well in America because it's their championship race. And I think the 75 Kona slots for age group is there as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the equivalent of Ironman Germany for North America.
Yeah.
In terms of, go there and, you feel depth in and around the Kona qualifying chunk, especially in like the male 35 to 45 age group is super competitive.
Oh, it'll be good. Be tight.
Good. Let's hope they don't get torrential rain like last year, hey?
Oh, yeah, that looked mental, didn't it?
Got flooded out, didn't it, last year?
It just turned into a bit of a farce, didn't it? Because some people stopped, some people carried on.
Yeah.
And the pictures just looked absolutely insane.
Yeah. Madness. All right, cool. Well, we will look forward to listening to the results of that on next week's show, won't we?
I think we will. So should we hear from Joe Skipper right now?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's hear from Joe. So I managed to hook up for an interview with Joe. It was about this time last week, I think, and I'll apologise in advance. I wasn't very well, so if I'm not my usual bouncy, sparkly self, that'd be why. But Joe was on good form anyway, so we'll hand you over to our interview with Joe. Joe Skipper, welcome to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon Podcast, mate. How on earth are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, mate.
We're managing to get an interview in on the back of your race in South Africa, but I want to catch up with the other things that have been going on in your life as well. But first up, I'm sorry that the race didn't really go the way you hoped, mate. It didn't have the race that you wanted and that you felt you were capable of. I guess really that's the place to start, isn't it?
Yeah. I was really disappointed with it because I was expecting big things, and I'd done so much preparation for it, like going to altitude. I went out there a decent amount of time before, and I was feeling all right in training. Some sessions were since in the taper were pretty decent, and certainly on the bike anyway. In the swim, the run was like 50-50 of how it could go. Still felt like I could do a decent run, but it was just gutting on the day to not feel very good and to do a terrible race.
Yeah, well, it's hard, isn't it? Talk us through your race, man. Talk us through how it went, and then we'll talk about the various bits and bobs about that afterwards as well. But how did it go off from the swim start for you?
To be honest, I just felt flat all day. So after the first 100 meters, I just couldn't get my heart rate up. Almost felt like when you're fatigued in training, like if you've done quite a lot of training, and then you try and do a hard session, you feel like you just can't push yourself that hard. I tried to, but it was push hard, but I just couldn't get it. So I was breathing really hard. When you're on a good day and your heart rate's high and you're breathing hard. It felt like a slog. And I just ended up leading the group what I was in round the swim, and I think we came out about 5 minutes down in the main pack with Harry and Josh 1 minute ahead of them, which last year would have been an all right swim. Whereas I know my swim's improved quite a lot. So I suppose the good thing to take out of that is that it was as good as last year when feeling absolutely absolutely terrible.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
a
then on the
positive
bike,
from it anyway, isn't it?
what's that?
That's a positive from it, at least anyway. If you have
Yeah, that's the
a
only
really
positive
bad swim,
really.
feeling terrible, and you still come out with
Yeah,
no
like my
more of a
heart rate
time
was
gap.
really low. Like I
Okay.
don't know, obviously I don't know what it is 'cause I didn't use a heart rate monitor. But it would have been really like I mean I did a swim race the week before and I swam quicker in slower conditions, and I wasn't really trying that hard. Like I was just going fairly hard, but I felt quite good then. So I was expecting good things from, and it was actually like in the same bit where we swam on the course, and it was really rough. So I was expecting quite good things. And then on the bike, in normally when I'm on a good day, I get on the bike and I'm having to hold myself back because the power feels so easy. Whereas I wasn't at the start of the bike. I was like having to like make an effort, not make an effort, but like I was having to like try to hit the numbers, if you know what I mean. And then after the first hour and a quarter, it got worse and worse. Like it was like harder and harder to hold, and it just went downhill from there. Same thing again, really. Like just couldn't. It was the pattern of the day, really. I just did one of them days where you get it and you feel quite fatigued and you just haven't really got it. So it wasn't very good. And then on the run, I just kind of jogged around. I knew I wasn't going to get any faster, and I knew I wasn't really going to slow down. But I just kind of cruised it, really, I suppose.
Kind of turned it into a training day eventually, did you?
Well, it was like I couldn't really have gone any harder if I wanted to, but it was quite comfortable to hold. Like I say comfortable, like it wasn't like I got massive muscle fatigue or anything, but I didn't feel good holding that pace. It felt just like a slog. But I knew it would be a good training day because in the past when I've done an Ironman, like normally the week or 2 weeks after I feel really good and I'm hitting some like decent numbers and I feel excellent. So I knew it would be a good training session. So as long as I finished it.
Yeah, sure. So have you got any feelings about what might have caused it then? If you got any intuition about things that happened in the lead up or different things you tried in training that might not have worked out, or do you just think it's one of those things?
Um, there's like a few different kind of things, but I think it's just I almost think it's just one of them days really where you just like I think one thing what I could have done would have been take it a lot easier when I got back from altitude, because I got back like quite late. I think maybe do a little bit less, but I think it's just one of them things where you just sometimes you get a bad day, and like in training, like you might have a certain session what you do each week, and you might have this, like you might have the same 7-day plan, but there's no guarantee you're going to feel really good every Wednesday, for instance, is there? Like some Wednesdays you might feel awesome, another Wednesday you might feel terrible, but you've done the same thing the leading into that session all the time. It's just unfortunate when you when you don't feel good on your A race, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing, isn't it? Some days, we talk about this a lot with athletes, like some days you have these fantastic leg days when the power comes really easy, and if that combines with your A race or an FTP test or whatever, then people can feel fantastic.
And there's no like guarantee that you're going to feel good even if you do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or bad, like
just some days it's part of the natural rhythm of life, isn't it?
And I suppose when you do like when you've done a decent amount of Ironmans, it's just a matter of time before you line up on the start line, and one of them you're not going to feel very good. Just like like percentages and odds and stuff like that, there is going to be a day where you're not going to have it.
Yeah, and it's just a shame it happened for you this time on South Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the only good thing I suppose to think about it is that I've got another one in 3 weeks where I've got another chance.
Oh, now I was going to ask you about this because I remembered you saying from last time you were backing this up with, it's Texas, isn't it? Is that right?
What's that?
Is it Texas the next race you're doing?
Yeah, Texas is the next one. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, my little brain is working fine. That's right. That's good to remember because if I remember rightly, you were talking about wanting to really smash the bike course at Texas, weren't you? That was part of the plan.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fast course, that one, because they've changed it now. So you're basically just biking down a motorway, what they've closed.
Man, that'll be race. Amazing in terms of like speed for power, won't it?
Yeah, I think it'll be really fast. Like, I can see from what I've got at in my position on the bike what I'm on now that it's going to be mega fast because although I was on another, like I suppose the other positive what I could take from South Africa was the road surface was terrible, and I managed managed to average just like slightly under 25 miles per hour off 260 odd watts, which for me is really good in comparison to what I've done on other courses. So if I get on Texas and get the right day where I can actually hold my normal power, and on them road conditions, it could be very fast indeed.
Now that is a real positive actually. So you actually got really good speed, although the power that you managed to put out wasn't what you hoped for. You got really good speed for it, even on bad road surfaces there, did you?
Yeah, the road surfaces there are absolutely terrible. Like, they're so bumpy, and I think that's one of the reasons why generally in the past run times haven't been that good there, because the bumps take so much more out of you. I guess you're using your core a lot more to keep balanced, and you're riding along the coast. The wind has an impact, so you can be leaning into the wind. And that's what, in the past, I think has fatigued people a lot more, because on paper, when you look at the course, it looks fast, not very hilly, along the coast. You would expect fast times, and when you get out there, obviously you see the roads are like, you're bumping all over the place. The wind's coming in off the coast. So yeah, it makes it a lot harder than what you'd expect.
Yeah. Well, we have to hope that, the big block of training that you did leading up to this, and then although you didn't get the result that you wanted, that might end up being a positive in the long term, and that you didn't wreck yourself at South Africa, and maybe you'll have that really good performance at Texas.
I feel absolutely fine now, Rob. Like, I've already been like back in training already, and I've been out on the bike today and like done a bit of an effort out there, and the power was good. Heart rate was quite low, and I feel fine. Like, that's the thing. Like, literally after that Ironman, like 2 days later, even after that Ironman, I said to Laura, like, when I was there, I said I don't even feel that bad. I said if I'd have wanted to, I could have gone home, rested a couple of hours, and gone for a run in the evening, because it, like, literally, if you just do a long training run, it doesn't completely wreck you, does it? I think the thing is, when to completely wreck yourself in an Ironman, you have to feel really good. It has to be one of them days, like what I had at Roth and what I've had in the past. If you feel really good and you can push yourself really hard, an Ironman takes a lot more out of you. Whereas when you're like 90%, 85%, and you're not push, and you can't push yourself as hard, it doesn't take as much out of you, because I don't think you get the same muscle damage and really like just fatiguing your body. It's almost, especially when you're training a lot like a lot of the pros are. You're doing so many hours a week that, if you're only out there for 8 hours, some of your training days might be 6 hours. So it's not much more than what you would do in a normal training day.
Yeah. So listen, let's talk about Texas then. What are your hopes for Texas if everything goes perfectly? I know we had a little bit of a chat off air last time, but do you want to?
A decent swim. I'd like to just do a swim where I'm like feeling like I'm pushing it hard, and everything's going well. And I think I could be definitely up there in contention out the water. And then on the bike.
Well, let's just stop you there, man, and go through that, because that's interesting. You actually feel like you're going to be with the lead pack out the water at Texas, do you? That's awesome.
Well, I think if I have a good day, I could be on the back. Because I look like some of the guys who I've swum with in Kona and before in the past, and I haven't been swimming as well, made that group in South Africa, and I honestly, I was absolutely useless in the water on Sunday, like how my body felt. So I'd like to think if I had a good race, a lot of it does. Is a bit tactical as well when you're like aiming to be on the back of the pack, because you have to hope that you get your tactics right. No one like dunking you at crucial points or like hitting your arms. If you get a good start and you can be there on the back and you can just stay there for that first 400 or 500 meters, you've got a very good chance that you're going to be there at the end. So for me, it would have to be like I would have to get a clean start and be on the right person's feet. So there's a lot of ifs and buts, but I think physically I can definitely do it, like from how much faster I see that I'm swimming now compared to what I have been in the past. So yeah, that would be good. At least within a couple of minutes of that lead group would be excellent, because then I'd be right in the hunt. But definitely I'd be liking to get on the back of that lead pack.
Okay. And then out onto this new bike course and up and down the motorway. That's got to be a pretty exciting prospect for a guy like you.
I just want to be able to hold between 300 and 310 watts. I can see the position, what I've got now, and everything's fast on that bike. And I know if I hold that kind of power, it'll be very quick. Like, it'll be a really fast bike time. I mean, I've done a course similar to that in the UK in a time trial on probably a worse position. I think I averaged 315 watts, and I did a speed that would have been, it was 100 miles, but if it had been 112 miles, it would have been like 3 hours 58 for the 112. So wow. I'm thinking faster course, faster position, equal kind of course as to what that was. If I can hold around 305, 310, it could be around 4 hours. It'd be great to go under 4 hours.
Because it's never been done, has it yet? It's never been done by somebody, a sub-4 bike split.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it would be quite appealing, especially if you don't have to kind of wreck your race to do it. If you can kind of just go at your normal game plan. I think it's definitely going to go on that day, because there's quite a few fast cyclists doing it, like Michael Weiss. He's definitely going to be going for it, especially if it's on the cards as well, because he fancies himself as a bit of a cyclist.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I'd love to go under 4, but I'd love to get a better overall result than chase a sub 4 and blow up and not do a good run. So if it's on the cards, obviously, and you're within a minute or so, then you would put an effort in, because it would be great to tick that box and do it. But ultimately, you want to get a good result overall.
Is Michael Weiss the guy that you rode with for a while in Kona?
Yeah. If he's sensible, he could do a very good one, but he does have a tendency to push quite hard on the bike and blow up, certainly towards the end of the bike and definitely on the run.
Yeah. So if you guys could ride legally together, then that could be Scorchio, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could even be a bit of a burn-up, couldn't it? In
5 minutes each, man. 5 minutes each pulling.
Yeah.
Are you guys still 10 metres in the Pro Pack? Have you got? Is it a 10-metre draft zone?
Yeah, 10 or 12, something like that. It's funny rules in America as well. So if there's a pack of you have to overtake everyone in the pack, and you can't just overtake one person and then come in. But the good thing is about Michael Weiss is I'm generally a better swimmer than him. And obviously I've improved a lot this winter, so I'd like to think that I'm still a better swimmer than him. Yeah. If not, worst case scenario, if he's improved a lot as well, we'd be even. So I should be at least with him on the bike. And then, yeah, if you can stay with him, you're definitely going to get taken up to that lead group.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling good and you can work together, similar to when I did Texas last time with Lionel Sanders, we ended up riding away from the lead group. We could do that and then obviously get onto the run. Now it's a month earlier. It's not quite as hot and humid as what it was in May, which massively suits me. That makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to how the race ideally would go, it'd be good to get with him, work together on the bike, be able to hold a power, what I've done before many times, and then on the run, just do a decent run really. I mean, it's so variable to put a time on it out there, because if you get a day where it's 30 degrees and 90% humidity, 255 can be very a really quick run on that course. Whereas if you get a day where it's 50 or 60% humidity and 26 degrees, 27, which it could also be, then you're going to need to run 243, 242.
Yeah.
Because the fast run course is basically pan flat, round lake. So it is a very quick run course, sheltered from the wind, but it all depends on how hot and humid it is.
Yeah, I remember you saying after last time at Texas, it was unbearably hot and sticky and humid, wasn't it? And it was just a sufferfest out there.
At least as bad as Kona.
Yeah.
So, but then the day after the race, last time when I did it, it rained, absolutely peed it down, and it was only 21 degrees. So that could have easily been on race day. So it's really variable as to what you might get.
Interesting. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for good weather conditions, because it'd be great to see you. Getting off the bike with under 5 hours on the clock and see what you can do there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier on you've been out and experimented with altitude training this year, and you went out to, it was Lake Tahoe you went to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember you ended up training with a few of the guys that I coach out there at various times and riding with them, or they were messaging me going, "I've just ridden with Joe Skipper," which is great. It's like, I can't believe I rode with him. So that sounds like you had a really good time. Did it work out as a good base for you then for altitude training?
Oh, Lake Tahoe is awesome for altitude training, but as to whether or not the altitude training worked, it's so hard to say, because I've had blood tests done before, and I've had blood tests done since I've come back, and the problem is finding someone who can interpret the results really well. Yeah. Because my girlfriend's a doctor, and we've got a doctor over the road who's done it, and they're not experienced in seeing athletes' results, because the results what I got were actually a lot different than what you'd expect. Like, there's been a massive change, but it's actually being able to tell whether or not it's been positive or negative is actually really hard. So, I mean, I don't know if any listeners are got experience in sports medicine, but if they are, it'd be great to for them to contact me and be able to chat with them and show them my results, because we're not like actually sure like whether or not it worked or hasn't. I mean, I did it in France last year and I have similar effects when I come down from altitude. It seems like I feel absolutely terrible for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then I start to feel better and better. And I think like I did try and time it with South Africa as to when I felt good when I came down from Font Romeu, like a similar duration in time from when I got back to sea level. But I don't know, I think for South Africa maybe I was like still feeling the effects of being at altitude, and it didn't quite get the timings right, because I'm starting to feel a lot better now. But yeah, it's just it's so hard to say, Rob. You know, it really is so individual going to altitude.
Is Tahoe itself are you sleeping at altitude there as well, or do you ride up to altitude as the whole thing?
No, you're like sleeping at like 2,000 meters above sea level.
Right. Okay. Which in itself brings its own big challenges, doesn't it? Because it's kind of hard to put out any kind of hard work when you're so high in training, isn't it? So you've got this kind of, on the one hand, the beneficial effect of a rise in hematocrit and red blood cells and all of that, but on the other hand, it's harder to actually physically put the power out because there's so little oxygen in the air.
Yeah, it can be like that there, but then you can also like go up. There's a valley what you can get into, which is only at like 1,500 meters above sea level. So you can do like harder efforts on the flat down there.
Yeah, it's still pretty high though, that, isn't it? It's still a mile up in the air. It's
still pretty high. But that's the problem is with when you're training for triathlon is actually finding places that are at altitude with decent facilities where you can actually train low. It's so much easier if you're doing run or cycling, because you don't have to worry about if there's a swimming pool there and everything like that. Whereas like when if you're just a cyclist, you can stay at the top of a mountain where it's just a little ride downhill into the valley or drive like 20 minutes where you can get to like 700 or 800 meters where you can do hard efforts. But whereas triathlon, it's quite hard to find places where there is decent facilities there.
Yeah.
Where you can train that are close to somewhere where you can get really low. Like I did a lot of research, and I mean it worked. It seemed all right. It worked all right when I was in Font Romeu, because we were doing our efforts at 1,500 meters above sea level. But it's just like whether or not the actual like gains in red blood cells and everything and has made a difference. It's hard to know.
It is. It's I think even I remember doing a lot of research into this at university, and at the time this was the early 90s, and we were reading studies with people like Steve Cram, Seb Coe, people like that, who were the forefront of going to altitude and training. And even back then, all the studies were saying, look, we think this should work, the theory says it should work, and it looks like when it works really well, but then a lot of the time it just makes things worse, and if you don't get the timing of it right, I mean, you probably won't remember this, but Coe came down from altitude for the 88 Olympic trials, and I think he finished like 9th or something in the UK trials, and didn't make the team, and he put it down to just didn't work. Came down from altitude, felt terrible, and then a week later went out and had a really, really good run, and there was this big like give Seb Coe a wild card, because he was defending 1,500 meter champion from LA at the time, but they didn't give him a wild card, as it turned out. And I remember him putting all that down to, they were looking for that extra edge. They went to altitude and it just didn't work for him.
That's the thing, is the timing of it seems so variable.
Yeah.
That it is such a unique thing, and I'm not sure whether or not I'd do it again in the future, because for me it just seems like it's so hit and miss as to whether or not it can work.
Yeah.
And you don't want. It's a shame to put all that training and preparation into a big race, try and go the extra, and almost like it backfire. It just seems it might work, but it's not necessarily that it's just going to be the same formula each time you do it. And I come back and I feel so bad for the first 2 weeks. I feel horrendous.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether or not I'd do it again. It's been good to try it, because you never know. But it is like so hit and miss as to whether or not it makes difference, I think.
Yeah, it's a real difficult
It's not all that like people think, like a magic formula.
Yeah. Well, man, look, you've given it a go, haven't you? You've been out and given it a trial, and like you said, maybe there'll be some listeners on here who are involved in sort of sports medicine and altitude research and stuff like that, who can who can give you some pointers, or maybe even look at those blood tests and see what
Yeah,
they think.
if there are, that'd be excellent. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, cool. Nice one. All right, so let's look at the rest of your season then. You've got Texas coming up. What have you got lined up after that? Obviously, the dream is going to be go to Texas, go super fast, win it, tick the box and qualify for Kona. Have you got anything else lined up between now and Kona, or is it all dependent on how the result goes there?
Yeah, I have. I'd like to do the challenge series, like the 70.3 is what they've got in Europe. So I've been looking on the calendar at when they are. So I was thinking of doing Challenge Salou at the end of May, and then trying to think what the next one was. There was in June, I think the 18th, there was Challenge Heilbronn.
Oh yeah,
and then
yeah.
Poznan in Poland.
Are you interested in this? What they're calling the championship?
Yeah, I am quite interested in that. I'm not going to lie. It's quite decent money. If you can get it, it's 25,000 euros for this. Like if you win the series, and obviously you've got the individual money from each race, what you can do on top. So yeah, it can work out quite lucrative. So I'd like to try and that's why I'm kind of going to do a few of the halves early on to see where I am in the standings, and if I've got a good chance of going for it, then I'll pursue that. But also, I'd like to do a load of halves after Texas before Kona, because just to improve my speed, and you can race more and try and just use it to kind of take myself to a better level, because I don't want to do another Ironman in July like I have done in the past, because I find that it doesn't give you enough time to build up for Kona if you are doing Kona or like an end of season Ironman. Whereas if I do 70.3s, I can carry on training and almost use them as stepping stones. So do one, train 3 or 4 weeks, do another one, train 3 weeks, again do another one, and just kind of keep using them as like when you have an easy week at the end of say 3 weeks training, you can do one of them, get a benchmark, hopefully get a good result, and then do another 3 weeks and just use it as stepping stones to get into really good fitness for the end of the year, and then obviously target an Ironman.
Yeah, and I think you're an athlete who benefits mentally from racing a lot, and it's hard when you're iron distance racing and you only get to hit out 2 or maybe 3 times a year. I think those 70.3s will really work well for you.
Yeah, definitely, and I can kind of keep doing all like an Ironman. By the time you've tapered and recovered, can spoil like if you're getting decent speed from like you run intervals, what you're doing, because obviously you have probably about a 3-week break where you're not doing them like really high intensity swim cycling and running sessions, even like the swimming. Whereas when you're doing the 70.3s, you can if you use them as like stepping stones, you might ease off 5 or 6 days before a race, but then like 3 or 4 days after, you're almost back in training. So it only really affects like 10 days worth of intervals, which might only be like one run, really hard run session, but then you gain a lot from doing a hard half marathon at the end. So
yeah, sure, good. Oh, well, I hope that works out for you. It'd be great to see you in that championship, and if they can attract a whole bunch of people there and get you guys all racing head to head, that'd make for fantastic.
I think they are
attracting
racing. Quite a few people, which is
sounds
quite
that way,
good,
doesn't it?
Yeah, which will be better, because if they can attract more people, then I think sponsors will take note of it, and it will almost take it more seriously, because they'll be like, there's a lot of decent athletes going for it. Obviously, there's a good upside to that and a bad side as an athlete, because the downside is it'd be harder to win it, but then the upside is more better people do it, but more sponsors take note, and then maybe in the future, in like the next year or the year after, they'll give better bonuses if you can win the championship or run like individual challenge events. So and then Ironman obviously might have to respond and give more prize money in other races like Kona, because if the pros start changing their plans and all going for the championship thing instead of going to Kona, that's going to be the one where the media follows. So it will be good if a lot of pros do it, because the sponsors will take it more seriously.
Yeah. And how are things as life as a professional athlete another year in? You've changed a couple of your sponsors this year. How's it been for you making a living? Obviously, I think the result at Roth last year was something that catapulted you up onto the world stage and made a lot of people to sit up and take notice. So are you finding it a little bit easier to make a living now?
Yeah, it's been all right. It was all right. Like it's been last year. I mean, it was pretty good anyway. so it's probably I'd say kept about the same as what it was last year, which is all right. It's good enough to like to carry on doing it, but I'd like to get some. I mean, obviously anyone would like to get more money, but to be honest, I'd like to win some big races. That's the main thing. What I want to do, and obviously if you can win some big races, then you're going to get more money.
It's the winning that motivates you, isn't it? It's never been about the living and the money and stuff.
I was saying to Laura the other day, when I won Weymouth at the end of 2014, I thought I was going to win loads of races, and I haven't won one since. I thought that was going to be the start. But I mean, I've had so many seconds. My dad says always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
It'll come, Joe. It'll come. It's all this experience will be backed up, mate. You've got a lot of hard graft racing experience there, and that's going to come to the fore this year for you. I'm sure it's going to happen for you, buddy.
Yeah, it's so close so many times. But yeah, I'd love to do a really good result at Texas, and then do well in some of the halves afterwards.
Cool, good stuff. All right, man. Well, listen, thanks very much for taking the time to come on and talk to us with the update. I'm sorry South Africa didn't go the way that you wanted, but who knows? Maybe that'll end up being a positive in the long term, and we'll see.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, you get that with races, don't you? I mean, everyone has it where they have a bad race every now and again. It's just one of them things, isn't it? There's nothing you can do, is there? You just gutted, but you have to move on and focus on another race. So it's all right. You know, you gutted for a few days, really disappointed, but then you have to move on and focus on what's coming up next.
Oh, it's great to hear you taking such a positive attitude from it, mate, and we'd expect nothing less from you, but I've got a feeling that Texas could be the performance for you. Fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah, cheers, thanks very much.
All to play for, Hells, that sub-4 bike split.
Oh, it's all to play for. I love it. And the interview was brought to you by wearetribe.co, which are all like yummy natural energy bars, like trail mix. They've got vegan recovery shakes in there, loads of yummy bars. I actually had one, Rob, the other week. It was an orange and cacao thing. It was delicious. An energy bar. How good are they? Really good. So you can get a trial pack for £1 with 6 items in it by using the code Oxygen Addict. So just go to wearetribe.co, enter the code Oxygen Addict, pay £1, and they'll send you a free trial pack of 6 delicious energy bars. Well, actually, therefore it's not free, is it? But you know what I mean. It's £1 for 6 bars.
It's probably less than the postage costs, isn't it? Really.
Totally.
I've got to say, the guys at Tribe sent both Helen and I a box of this stuff out to try, and we were like, well, you know, we can't really promote something we don't believe in. And honest to God, hand on heart, they are the most delicious sports nutrition type bars that I've ever tasted. And more than that, the guys who set the company up, they're all athletes, they're all ultra runners, really, really solid group of people. And I think if you can use that phrase, like they're in it for the right reason, they're absolutely really genuinely nice people. They set up all kinds of trail running meetups and running sessions and stuff down where they're based in London. And yeah, the product, I just think the product is really, really good. The fact it's all natural and there's nothing added in is a big tick in the box. The fact it's easy to digest and delicious as well is really good. So can't recommend it highly enough. Get over there, pay your £1 and get yourself a delicious little treat sent through the post. Let's support the guys who support the show, please, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so Rob, I think it's going to be a very interesting race with Ironman Texas, and fingers crossed that our British athletes, including Joe, have a good race.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a stormingly fast one. There's no question that with like the caliber of people that are racing there, especially when you think you've got Skipper, you've got Jordan Rapp, and you've got Andy Starkovitz in there, plus everyone else who's such a quality athlete as well. But those guys are really, really going to be gunning for that bike course record. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see a really, really fast overall time there as well. Because if someone goes sort of slightly sub 4, I bet there's going to be a bunch of people ride under 4:10 on the bike, which will set them up for who knows, maybe even a sub 7:40.
Wow,
that really could be that fast.
Yeah.
If you think if they get out of the water in 47, 48 minutes,
yep.
And someone can nail together a fast marathon off the back of that, it really could be on.
Wow. We will wait and we will find out, won't we?
Yep, we shall wait and find out.
Awesome.
Right, should we jump over and do Coach's Couch?
Yes, I think we should do that, Rob.
Right, so Chris Scott has sent us a question in over email, hasn't he?
Yeah, so basically Chris says that he's racing every second week, and I guess like all of us, he's like, each race is important because I want to do my best. I don't have a big race this year, he says, just a lot of small races. Is there a good way to structure the week in race season? Great question.
Yeah, so Chris has raced sort of long distance last year and is stepping back to sprint and Olympic this year. And obviously the challenge is when you haven't got like an inverted commas, a big A race to aim towards, and you're racing every other weekend and just doing it for fun, but still wanting to get good results. I think the challenge is that you end up with sore legs after a race and it takes maybe 2 or 3 days to get back into it. And then before you know it, you're tapering again for the next race, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I had for Chris was to say, right, well, even if you're not doing a middle or long distance race, still try and structure your season the way that you would do anyway, and pick, say, 2 races that year that you are going to designate as your most important races, and then kind of prioritize the other races along the way, so that some of them are going to be more important than others, and some of them are just going to be like almost like training events where you're consciously going to hold yourself back a little bit on the run. Because I think in the situation Chris is in, where you're racing every other weekend, literally racing every other weekend, your legs are just going to get absolutely hammered and not really get a chance to put too much actual training together. So that was going to be my first tip, sort of separate that out. So maybe what you do is you go, right, I'm going to race really hard one weekend and treat the next fortnight as a kind of training event or a brick training session or whatever, but hold yourself back a little bit on the run. I think you can usually go as hard as you like on the swim and the bike, and that will in itself form a really good training session without compromising your recovery too much. It's just the effect of running really hard on tired legs, especially if it's like an Olympic distance race and you're running hard for 10k, that can really smash your legs up for the next sort of 4 days afterwards. So prioritizing, it's really, I mean, you've experienced this, haven't you? You can be walking down the stairs backwards until Wednesday of the following week, and it's
painful, horrible, and you just think, oh my god, they're never going to get back to normal. But obviously give them a few days and they will.
And I think it's also worth stepping back a little bit and saying, right, I've said I'm going to race every other couple of weeks because it's really good fun, but the accumulative effect of that, if you actually do try and race full gas every other weekend, is you're actually going to lose fitness across a period of time, because you're going to get detrained because you just can't run at all. You're just not going to have the time to run when you haven't got sore legs. So you are consciously going to have to hold yourself back and say, right, I'm going to do this one's really going to go for it. This one I'm really going to back it off on the run, and then treat that one as part of your training session. I think otherwise you're just going to be tapering and recovering for an entire season, and you're going to end up getting maybe 4 or 6 races in and be completely flat and feel rubbish.
And that's when it's really difficult, isn't it, in your mind? Because as Chris said at the beginning of his question, doing all these races, and as human beings, we want to do well.
Yeah.
And that's totally. It's difficult, isn't it, to say, actually, no, you have to be kind to yourself. If you want to carry on doing well, then... Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And it might even be worth looking at it and going, right, I'm going to go... you take a month and you race on the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th weekend of that month. So like 3 races in 4 weeks, if you like. 3 races in 4 weekends. Would that be right? Yeah, 1, 3 and 5. And then give yourself a block of 3 or 4 weeks of just training, and then do the same again. So you get to race 3 in a month, and then you train for another block and kind of approach it that way. So I think if you do literally try and race every other weekend, you're gonna put yourself in a hole and just end up not enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I hope that answers the question, Chris. Thanks for sending it in. If anyone else has got questions for Coach's Couch, you can send it in to Twitter, where we are. I've lost it. We are at
OA Try Podcast.
Yeah.
Shall we try to say it? OA Try Podcast.
OA Try. It trips off the tongue, doesn't it? At OA Try Podcast, or on Facebook, we're at OA Podcast.
Cool. Yes,
Cool.
send them in. I know we've had a few in, and hopefully we'll get to them over the next couple of weeks.
Sure will.
So, Rob, in news brought to you by precisionhydration.com. I must admit, Rob, went out running the other day, final massive long run, and it was a bit of a hot day, and I took a little bottle, and in it was a bit of precision hydration, and yeah, it was good stuff.
I think you notice the difference afterwards more than you notice the difference when you're running. It's
totally.
I find personally, I notice when I don't take it because I get woken up at 3 a.m. with the most excruciating calf cramp or foot cramp just in the middle of the night. And man, did I suffer with it last week when I was ill, by the way. God, it was awful every single night.
Yeah.
It's probably because I was sweating so much, right? It's
probably.
Sweats and the fever.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, that would actually make sense.
So have you been finding you've been getting cramps and stuff after training, or has it been all right?
No, it's been absolutely fine.
Brilliant.
And yeah, I took it out that day because I knew that the weather was going to be particularly warm.
Yeah.
But other than that, let's be honest. Well, we know from my sweat test that I'm not a big sweater, and the concentration of my sweat is not crazy, and it's just the weather hasn't been ridiculously hot, so I haven't consciously thought, oh, I need to be taking that every time I go out.
Yeah. And I suppose we're getting to the point now, aren't we, where we've had 2 or 3 times, or certainly in England, we've had a run of 2 or 3 days where it's been warm, and you start to realise, oh, it's going to be like, fingers crossed, touch wood, don't blow it, but it's going to be like this for the next 6 months. We're going to have warm weather, and I think our heads are coming out of a winter mode, aren't they?
Totally, yeah.
And starting to think about the fact that, oh yeah, I remember if I don't put sun cream on before I go for a run, I'm going to have a really red nose for the rest of the day.
Yep, I remember my sun cream. It's all good.
Good, that's what I like. Good. Yeah, so get over to precisionhydration.com, take their online sweat test, and they've also got a really good blog. If you're someone who suffers with cramp, get on there and read that about the causes of cramp, and they've looked at the scientific literature around it. So that's well worth a read, and it's very interesting.
Awesome. So, Rob, one bit of news that we did have was that Marino van Honecker had said he was going to be racing Ironman Lanzarote, but actually more importantly is what has since happened, in that it's a case of, oh my goodness, get well soon, because he has since had a bike crash and he's broken one of the bones in his chest, and he sort of sent a picture from hospital saying that he was being observed, and they were monitoring his heart and his lungs and everything like that, so his breathing and cardiovascular stuff, and it's really not what you wanted, because he had
a broken chest bone is hideous, isn't it?
Awful, really, really not good. And he basically he'd done a bit of training a couple of years ago in Lanzarote, and I think said something like, that race is not for me, I'm not really going to be I'm not particularly good on the hills.
Too hard,
like
too hot, too hilly.
Yeah. So then it's almost like, wow, he's going to be racing. This is awesome. And he said that he wasn't going to be racing Ironman Austria this year. So, get well soon.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Well soon. And then, Rob, the other news is that, so there's a big race happening this weekend in terms of kind of news, because Alistair Brownlee is going to be making his debut over the half iron distance at Challenge Gran Canaria. Yeah. And also going to be racing is Daniela Ryf in the women's race. So she's obviously, her back is better because she had back problems during and in the run-up to Ironman South Africa, didn't she? And she said that she wants to race a lot more this year. So we'll probably see a few races where she sort of pops up and dominates and wins. But yeah, Ali Brownlee is on that start list. Who else did I see? I saw Reece Barkley is on that start list, and Stephen Bayliss is on the start list.
Stephen Bayliss racing again, that's great. I'm so pleased about that. He's been really struggling with health stuff, hasn't he, for a while? That's brilliant. He's back again. Yeah.
Then our recent interviewee, Kat Jameson's racing. Ruth Purbrook is racing. Emma Pallant is on that start list as well. Lucy Charles. So it's gonna be It's going to be
Good race, yeah.
isn't it? So that is, and Jane Handsome as well. Did I mention Jane Handsome?
You didn't mention Jane Handsome.
Jane
no.
Handsome, yeah, she's out there. Corin Abraham as well. There's loads of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be definitely one to follow and watch for sure.
Do you know? I wonder whether people realise in general circulation that everyone's talking about, like, in inverted commas, Ali Brownlee's making his middle distance debut, but he won the Helvellyn Triathlon, didn't he, in about 2006 or 2007?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he rocked up to that and he won it by like a country mile, obviously. But this was definitely, it must be 10 years ago.
Wow.
I think it was possibly even pre Beijing. It must have been pre Beijing.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. So that would have been.
It might be 2005 or 6 or something like that. But
oh my god, a young whipper, whatever.
A young whippersnapper.
Yeah, one of those.
And of course, he spends all his time charging around in the fells when he gets the chance anyway, doesn't he? So he loved it. But yeah, I think people have been making something about this in the press and going, "Oh, are you nervous about stepping up?" And he'll be like, "No."
No. Well, no. But and the other thing is, he's done the the longer distance or longer bike races in Dubai as like a season opener a couple of years ago, didn't he? That was twice. Yeah. So I think the interesting one, Rob, is going to be St George. Oh, Rob's still poorly.
Sorry, excuse me.
Rob's still poorly. Rob, don't spread those germs.
Stop for a quick Marlboro Light.
Yeah, stop this.
Podcast.
Goodness me. The interesting one is going to be Ironman 70.3 St George, because he is on that start list, but that's the North American 70.3 Championships. Him against Lionel Sanders. It's just going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think Gran Canaria is a bit about, almost, okay, I'm going to touch wood here, but almost get the win in the bag, get a bit of confidence. Yep, fine, we can do this, no worries. And then, boom, in St George.
I'm really intrigued to see how that plays out.
Yeah, can't wait.
Because if you think back, I mean, everyone's expecting, obviously, him to come out of the water with 3 or 4 minutes over Lionel Sanders and then Sanders to catch him on the bike. But do you remember when we interviewed Phil Graves and Phil's just going, yeah, people are underestimating Al's ability on the bike.
Yeah, totally. And he did
everyone who's ever ridden with him is like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So I'm really intrigued to see what happens.
Yeah, and he did a time trial recently, Ali Brownlee, and was only a few seconds behind Phil Graves.
Is that right?
Yes. I mean, I say a few. It might have been like 10, but I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah,
minutes.
Sure. Oh, that's incredible, given that Phil's got such a medal-winning pedigree in this country, hasn't he, at national standard races?
Yeah. We
always knew that anyway, but yeah, that's a bit of confirmation. Oh, exciting times, Hells.
Oh, I know. There you go. There you go. So that's it, Rob. That's all our news, isn't it?
I think that's it. That's the show done. Show done and wrapped up. We've had Mr. Skipper on. We've got some new sponsors. It's all good in the garden. I'm no longer dying of a chest infection. You must be all excited about your upcoming race this weekend.
Oh, that little trip around London.
Little trip around London you're going for this weekend. Yeah. So should we encourage our listeners to cheer you on if they see you?
Yes. If you see me, cheer me on. That would be delightful. I'm going to be in it's like a white vest with a bit of pink down the side. I'll have Helen across my vest. I was like, I've done it twice, and so I'm thinking back to the first time. I was like, there is no way I'm doing the London Marathon without my name on my vest. But then I thought, I can't get my name printed on like my Tri-Club vest, because then I'll just look an absolute tit every time I want to go and wear that. So I thought, I can't
say
do
it like
that.
It is, Health.
Yeah. So then I thought, oh, I've got an oldish vest, which I don't mind. So I'd just like to say thanks very much to iPrint Stuff. Brilliant service, Rob. So
it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks great. Poor Tom there had to probably deal with this vest, which has seen better days. It smelt fine, but he's probably thinking, what is this? People don't usually send me like really old vests. And anyway, on the back, it has got the Team Oxygen Addict Triathlon podcast logo.
Awesome.
And it also has which you won't know if you're not a member of Nuts for Tri Club, but it has the Nuts for Tri Club logo as well on the back. So yeah,
secret logo on the back.
So if you do see me, please cheer me on. I think I might be in pain from about mile 16, 18 on. Thank you.
So anyone you see in a white vest with Helen written across the front, cheer on as if it's our Helen. Come on, our Helen. That's what I want to. Come on, our Helen.
Yeah.
Are you going to make any time predictions, Helen, or are you just going to go and charge around and have fun?
I'm just going to go and have fun and smile.
2:29.
Yes. No, 2:28. You got it wrong. 2:28.
2:28.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
All right. Well, listen, I hope you have a fantastic run. You've trained really hard for it, and I'm sure things are going to come together for you. So on behalf of all of our listeners, get out there and just have a really enjoyable day and keep smiling.
I will. That's the plan. Thanks.
Good stuff.
I'm already planning what I'm eating afterwards as well, Rob.
Go on. What are you going to have? What's the?
I'm gonna have a dirty curry, and I'm gonna have some ice cream, which I bought the other day. Some coconut ice cream, and I'm yet to eat it. Yeah,
Are you taking it to London with you?
No. This is for when we get
cool
home. No, but I think I might be taking pasta sauce with me. That's how anal I'm going to be. But yeah, ice cream is already in the freezer. It is waiting for me for when I get home.
Nice.
On Sunday evening.
Nice. Brilliant. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon podcast. Our sponsors this week have been tgstore.co.uk, precisionhydration.com, and wearetribe.co. Don't forget to get over there and get your free trial pack for £1 using the code OxygenAddict. I've been Coach Rob Wilby. I'm Helen Murray. And until next week, have a great training and racing week. Hells, have a great marathon. And anyone else who's running London as well, have a great marathon. And we'll speak to you all next week. Cheers.